So what are vectors? Vectors are directed line segments. So they're, you know what a line segment is. It's a little chunk of a line. Like this might be a line segment. Vectors are directed line segments. They have what we call an initial point. Our starting point and a terminal point or an ending point. So a vector is like a line segment that starts here and goes this way. It flows. It's an arrow. It's a little arrow. We denote vectors. In your book, you'll see vectors denoted using bold. We'll use the letter V or W or M, and we'll make it bold to indicate that it's a vector. That's kind of hard to do when you're drawing, so when we're drawing or we're writing this out, we denote a vector by putting this little arrow on top of it. So that tells the world that this object right here is a vector that I've named V. And that vector starts at this point, flows in that direction, and lands on that point. Vectors have two quantities: magnitude and direction. The magnitude of a vector is the length of that vector. How big is it? We denote the magnitude of a vector with these absolute value bars, and we typically write it twice, like a double absolute value. Or sometimes we get lazy and we just use a single absolute value bar. Magnitude is just a number. It's a positive number. So the magnitude of some vector is always greater than or equal to 0. Can never be negative. And it just tells you how big this vector is, the strength of it. Direction is the way it points. So right now we don't have a coordinate system. I don't have an XY plane. I can't give you an angle. I can't say this vector points at 30 degrees. 30 degrees from what? I don't have any kind of reference. So at this point, if I wanted to measure the direction of this vector, the best I could do is just say, oh, it points that way. Once we get into a coordinate plane and we can measure an angle from something, maybe from the x-axis or the y-axis, then we can throw angles in there, and I can say a vector points 20 degrees from the x-axis counterclockwise. But for now, the best we can do is say that way and kind of point. So vectors are determined by their magnitude, how big are they, and which direction they point. It's like if you're giving somebody directions. You walk out the front door and you tell somebody go 200 yards east. You've given them a vector. You told them how far to go and which direction to go. That's a vector. Vectors can be moved around. They're not fixed in place. So that vector I had up there, V, this guy right here, I could easily start it here and end it here. That's still the same vector V. Still has the same length up to my drawing skills. That's supposed to have the same length. So it would still have the same magnitude, and it still points that way. It's still the same vector. I can move it around anywhere I want. As long as it still has the same length and still points in the same direction, it's still the same vector. In future videos, we'll talk about how to rescale these vectors, make them longer or shorter. We call that scalar multiplication. We'll talk about how to add a couple of vectors together. We'll talk about how to put these in an XY plane and write these in what we call component form. But for now, we're just focusing on what vectors are. And that's a good place to stop.